Watch the moment protesters in northeastern Iran tear down a giant flag of the Islamic Republic, a powerful symbol of a country on edge. This comes as tensions continue to flare across Iran, with unrest spreading far beyond isolated demonstrations. What began in late December 2025 as protests over economic collapse has now transformed into something far bigger, a nationwide political revolt. Sparked by the collapse of Iran's currency and soaring living costs, the uprising has now spread to at least 78 cities and 222 locations, with demonstrators openly calling for the end of the regime. But the response from the authorities has been brutal. Iranian police and security forces have moved in violently, and human rights groups report that at least 36 people have been killed, including 3 children, according to reporting by the BBC and The Guardian. Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, has dismissed protesters as rioters, while rights groups say nearly 1,000 people have already been arrested. International pressure is also beginning to mount. Speaking aboard Air Force One, President Donald Trump warned that the United States could hit Iran very hard if protesters are not protected.
There's been protesters killed in Iran. You said we were locked and loaded, ready to go. What is the line there for when the U.S. is going to get involved in those protests?
We'll take a look. We're watching it very closely. If they start killing people like they have in the past, I think they're going to get hit very hard by the United States.
So far, however, there's been no sign of direct US action, even as the reported death toll continues to rise, and no clarity from the White House on what would actually trigger intervention. Facing growing internal pressure, Iran's government has announced new economic measures aimed at calming unrest. State media says President Masoud Pezeshkian has ordered security forces not to attack peaceful demonstrators, while officials unveiled emergency assistance to help families survive the crisis. A government spokesperson said national food subsidies for households would be tripled, adding roughly $7 a month to existing support. But for many Iranians, it's seen as too little, too late. As protests spread, crackdowns intensify, and global attention sharpens. The question now is whether Iran's leadership can contain a movement that appears to be slipping beyond its control. These events, and what they mean for the future of Iran, have been widely discussed on GB News.
We're living in a time of what feels like pretty significant social change, and it makes us question things that we've even taken for granted for decades. And one of those at the moment that people are wondering about is actually money. Is the money in your bank account safe? Should you be investing elsewhere? Are we looking at a potential global crash? What will it mean for your savings? Is there a way that you could be using your money that might be outside of government control even? Well, TallyMoney is potentially one solution. So I'm delighted to say that I'm joined today by the CEO and founder of TallyMoney, Cameron Parry. What is TallyMoney?
Well, at TallyMoney, you basically get gold you can spend. So we give people an individual account in their name, everyday account. They get a sort code, an account number. They use that account just like they would pounds from their bank, but it's milligrams of gold that we brand as Tally.
Okay. Why would you do that, though? What is the benefit to the customer instead of just having a normal pound sterling account?
Gold's performance against the pound is above 11% per annum over the last 25 years on average. But we still need money in our daily lives, and we have savings. We know that it's good common sense and prudent to save up for things, not just living credit. You know, whether it's a holiday or a rainy day, your retirement planning, you need to have money in your life, basically, that you can rely on, that's dependable, that nobody meddles with, that nobody can weaponize against you, which is another element of government control when it's the government currency, which we could talk about another time. And it should be pretty simple and straightforward, and that's what we deliver at Tally. And really, we just want people to feel safe and happy with their money. There was a time when the bigger your bank balance, the more confident you felt. Now it's like, I need to do something with it. I can't leave it there. In Tally, you can.
Okay, brilliant. Cameron Parry from TallyMoney. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bev.
the protests spread across the country from region to region, city to city, and people exhausted of after 47 years brutality, dictatorship, and corruption, raising the price, inflation, and also financial collapse, pollution, water shortage, all get the people to the point, as long as this regime stay on the power, nothing's going to change, and they don't have anything to lose. That's the way they are feeling. We are facing with the Gen Z, or Gen V, that's what we call them. They are well connected to the world. They know what's going on in the other side of the world. They want to be like other people. They want to have a normal life. That's why they are very determined at this time. They are not looking for reform. They are not looking for freedom for hijab. They are looking for regime change. That's why they're chanting Javed Shah, Pahlavi return. Javed Shah represents of development, secularism, and democracy, and Iran back to global family after long time isolation.
Okay, well, there are three things I want to discuss here. The first is what the situation is on the ground. Specifically, are the protests greater than what we saw in 2022? Then I want to talk about the impact of what happened in Venezuela, if that's going to encourage people. And finally, I want to talk about how there seems to be a sort of media silence on this issue. Certainly, as it was first going, I think a lot of people who were online a lot were seeing these incredible images coming out of Iran and nothing from BBC, Channel 4 initially. So that's first of all, you mentioned this, is it wider spread, the protests, than in 2022?
I've been observing every night, day and night, all the videos, footages they're coming from inside Iran. That's significant. I've never seen such a thing. So much bravery. People, they get to the street, they're chanting death to dictator, and they're calling for Prince Reza Pahlavi. I think the difference this time is people, they know what they want. There is a leader for this movement, and also after 12 days war with Israel, the fear spread inside the system, and the regime is weaker than before, especially after President Donald Trump warning the regime, if you kill the protesters, that give more hope and courage to people to come to the street and fighting against this brutality.
Because this is people on the street, they're unarmed, they're going out against armed people. There've already been, I believe, at least 10 murders that we know of these protesters.
If you want to compare with 2018 and 2022, I mean, I'm not saying it's nothing, but remember in 2018, the regime killed 1,500 people in 3 days. So the reason for that is, I think, a lot of people working for the system, member of the RGC and security forces, police and Basiji militant and army, they are part of this people. They've got a family, they've got a friends, they're struggling financially, they're suffering from the economical crisis. And also they realize as long as this regime stays in power, nothing going to change. So we witnessing some of the members of the RGC and security forces, they separate themselves from the rest, and some of them publicly announce they are not going to harm any civilians, and they are going to stay in the side of the protester.
Well, it's a house of cards, and once one falls, then the people are seemingly quite optimistic this time. And you think that President Trump's actions in Venezuela, that might be encouraging to different Iranians through Iran?
Absolutely. I think since after the Maduro regime's collapse, we see more courage and hope for Iranians. Don't forget, Maduro regime was the last ally for Iranian regime. By overthrowing the Maduro regime, cut off the financial sources. That gives more hope and courage to people to fight back with this brutal regime after 47 years, and hopefully we will see free Iran soon.